Greetings, knights and knaves, lords and ladies. 'Tis I, your Lord Commander, and welcome back to the Lands of Calradia, where today I will be walking you through the steps that I took in order to create our Sturgeon Viking build that you guys hopefully have seen or will see. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of making this video randomly, but I figured I would just kind of walk you guys through it in case you wanted to see a more detailed description or setup of our Viking build. We have been talking about this build for quite some time, and now that we've come down to the actual start of it all, I'm just absolutely excited. Anyway, I'm not sure when this video is going to come out, so if you have seen part 1 of the Bronzehelm Raiders, I do hope you enjoyed. If you haven't yet, again, I do hope you enjoy. But anyway, into the build here, lads. So obviously for our Viking build, we are going with the Sturgeons. Recruiting and upgrading infantry troops are 25% cheaper, and armies lose 20% less daily cohesion, which means that we are going to be incredibly infantry heavy in this playthrough. That really helps to set us up for, the typical Sturgeon build, where it's just massive armies of infantry troops, just massive shield walls, marching off to war, just battles of attrition and everything like that. So I'm super excited. Let us get into it. So this is our lovely character. This is Bannerlord of the Bronzehelm Raiders, the vicious Viking raider and leader of the Bronzehelm Raiders throughout our campaign. He is known to the Viking clans as Bannerlord the Chosen, because he has in fact been chosen by the gods, and resembles remarkably the All-Father himself with his missing eye. I feel like his eyes are too sunken in. Are they too, like, deep? No? I mean, they seem fine. My bad. Anyway. But yeah, so this is our man. I love him. He actually looks really good. Really badass. Of course, you can use whatever character you want. Come up with whatever kind of design, background, lore, etc., etc. The build itself is not dependent upon the way I've built this character here, but this is just the character that I am using. Now, as for our character's background, for this one, I didn't make it as lore friendly as I did some of our other custom faction builds. This was my first attempt to genuinely try and min-max our character's traits and perks and everything like that to fit the playstyle that I'm shooting for. Unfortunately for me, this series plans to take part in multiple different chapters. The earlier chapters, we plan on utilizing one-handed weapons and shields. That way we can fight on foot with the infantrymen and take part in the massive shield wall tactics and everything like that. Whereas later on in the series, we plan on making the switch over to two-handed weapons. So trying to find that balance between both one-handed and two-handed was a little difficult. And then again, early game, I would like to utilize throwing weapons like a traditional Viking raider would. And then as we go on and we start taking castles or whatever else, we can utilize the bow and arrow. And then again, we'll probably start off with athletics and then, transition our way into riding. Roguery is not too important, but I would like to utilize some of the skills here so that we can increase the speed that we go raiding, despite the fact that it doesn't really do too much in favor of us during the actual campaign. I would like to go raiding villages as often as I can. That way I can kind of keep up with the role play and the lore of being a Viking raider. So since we are mostly focusing on early game stats, traits, and perks and everything like that, I'm gonna go ahead and choose the options that fit best within our early level traits and everything like that. So I'm thinking Vagabonds, because it gives us +1 to throwing and +1 to roguery, which are two of our starting early game areas of skill and everything like that. Now, as for our childhood, again, trying to keep up with just our early game chosen traits and everything like that. You can go two different ways for this one. You can either go for Brawn, which will give you +1 to two-handed, which is late game, but also +1 to throwing, which is early game. Whereas with Attention to Detail, it'll give you +1 to bow, which is late game, but also +1 to athletics, which is early game. So it kind of just depends on where your chosen, where your priorities lie and everything like that. So me personally, I'm going to go for attention to detail just because I find that leveling up my athletics is a bit tedious. I'm not entirely sure why, but I've always had a hard time trying to level up my athletics. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that one. I find that, you know, leveling up my two-handed and my throwing is obviously going to be a bit easier because as we play and we utilize both of these weapons, we're naturally going to get that skill XP. For your adolescents, I feel like the obvious choice would be Herded the Sheep because it does give you +1 to throwing and athletics, which are both of our early game skills. For our youth, I'm going to go with joining the Skirmishers because it gives us +1 to one-handed and throwing. And since we already have +6 to control, well, we also don't have anything in our endurance just yet. Ooh, this is interesting. Yeah, so you can go one of two different ways for this one, I believe. You can have Famous Escapade in Town, which gives you +1 to your endurance, but also +1 to athletics and roguery. Or you can go for Defeated an Enemy in Battle, because this will help give you a boost to your vigor, as well as +1 to one-handed and two-handed weapon combat. Now, me personally, I think I'm going to go for the Famous Escapade, if I'm being absolutely honest. Yeah, because the trait you get is Daring, Valor 1, for both of these options. So, honestly, I think this one will serve me best, having that extra leg up on our endurance, if I'm being honest. As for our starting age, I am going to go for 30. That way we have our those extra unspent focus and attribute points. And now for our lovely banner, allow me to introduce you to the Bronzehelm Raiders. Yeah, look at that. Very nice. So I've gone through a couple of different changes to this banner. Like the design itself is probably going to stay, but I've been altering the color scheme just a little bit. So right now we have black as the primary and then red as the secondary because they're the two that most or that occur most within the actual design itself. But another option I was going for was actually making this this kind of bronzish gold our primary, so that our troops really stood out on the field of battle. Now, I'm not entirely sure which one I'm actually going to settle on for our campaign. We might change it as time goes on, so like maybe it's bronze at first, because we're still you know, very low level tribes and everything like that, and a minor clan. But then once we start work as like a mercenary, we'll switch to the black and red, and then maybe we'll just get an entire like overhaul and renewed design if/when we decide to declare ourselves as an independent kingdom. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with that idea. I think that's going to be pretty cool. It'll help the flow of like the chapters go on as well. So yeah, we'll have this kind of a bronzish orange, like yellow color as our primary, and then the red is our secondary. And then of course our clan name, the Bronzehelm Raiders, which is going to be absolutely beautiful. And character, Beor the Chosen. Absolutely beautiful, lads. Beautiful. And now we have arrived just outside of Varcheg, even though our story is actually going to begin further north, in a meeting set up by Beor the Chosen and the chiefs of the other three of the faithful clans, just outside of the village of Borchova Gorka. Jesus. Now we are going to go ahead and start to dish out some of our points here. We don't have a whole lot to really spend, if I'm being honest, but we do have a couple of perks to unlock right off the bat, which is absolutely beautiful. Now for this build, I believe that we're going to go for the very like slow-moving, slow-paced kind of battles and everything like that. That way we can really start to stretch out like the conflicts and everything and make everything feel more realistic. In which case, I am going to choose the Shield Breaker, because at some point throughout the campaign, I do intend on turning our attentions towards conquering the lands of Sturgia in the north, so that we can return it into the culture of, you know, worshiping the gods and everything like that, and worshiping Odin and Thor and Freya and Frigg and so on. So I think Shield Breaker is going to help us out tremendously with that closer to the late game. But also, honestly, quick draw speed is not really something I think of when I think about Vikings, especially when it comes to their throwing weapon type of combat and everything like that. So I am gonna go for Shield Breaker. I think that feels a little more ruthless and like brute force, the way Vikings are typically depicted. Now, as for athletics, I definitely want to increase my movement speed on the field of battle. It'll help with you know, maneuvering through the battle and being able to continuously set out orders and everything like that for the army while I'm on foot rather than on horseback. So having that extra movement speed will definitely help us out. Now I'm going to go ahead and use these attribute points and put one towards our vigor and then one towards our cunning. While the cunning is not something that we intend on utilizing too much, I did want to kind of give that minor increase to our roguery, because again, I would like to get No Rest for the Wicked, which increases our raid speed by 5% as soon as possible. Now for our focus points, we're going to go ahead and dish one out to one-handed. We can do one to scouting. That'll help us out with our movement and our tracking on the world map. I'm going to go ahead and put one out on to medicine as well, because I want to be able to get the preventative medicine perk, which gives us plus 30% recovery of lost hit points after each battle, which ensures that we're not just waiting around waiting to be healed and everything and letting time pass us by. At least not too much. We'll be able to bounce between battles relatively easy and, you know, a lot faster with that. For our last two focus points, I'm actually going to go ahead and throw them both in at athletics. So this is me just trying to recreate what I did already, but even then, like, I'm by no means an expert. This is really me just kind of winging it and hoping for the best, if I'm being honest, based off of my prior knowledge of, you know, what skills are unlocked and what it does for us, and attempting to min-max our build, while also trying to maintain a good bit of, like, role play and everything like that. Again, this is just kind of how I've done it. You don't have to do it this way. If you have better ideas, then please share it in the comment section below, and just tell me how dumb I am with my build. Or if I did anything right, again, just let me know. I feel like that would be really helpful. But anyway, and now at long last, the moment you have all been waiting for, our wonderful, unique, custom faction troops. At the very base of our troop tree, we do have the Clan Warrior. This is how they look with our current color scheme on. Kind of a chubby guy. I love that. It's not too bad. But this is the base look. This is the typical Viking Clan Warrior. Relatively lightly armored. He is going to be the bulk of our shield wall. These guys are going to make up a majority of our forces during the early game chapters. Only because we are, you know, still a minor clan. We are still kind of out there recruiting and trying to find all of our people and the fellow faithful warriors of the gods and whatnot. Now the Clan Warrior does have several different presets, because the idea was that we have 4 different presets to utilize with our My Little Warband mod. And so since we are the lore anyway, we are the unification of 4 different clans with very distinct and very unique looks and appearances and fighting styles, I figured that each one of these presets could represent a completely different clan. So preset number 1 is our Bronzehelm Raider. This is the typical Bronzehelm Clan Warrior. Number 2 is our Shore Guard, a little more of the Western Vlandian style, but still Viking through and through. Preset number 3 comes from the Beast Clan. They are the essentially a more ritualistic and more pious version of the Wolfskins. And then number 4 are the Wildling based, you know, like far to the east and hanging out in like the vast open empty plains of the east and everything, where the snow meets the steppes and everything like that. So that's typically these guys. Very sage, very wise, and experts at polearm combat. Going down the range side of our troop tree, we do have the Bush Scooter. Forgive me if I pronounced that wrong, but I looked it up. This is basically like a rough translation of like Norwegian for archer. Like bow shooter is kind of the vibe that I'm getting here. So the Bueskutter, yeah, Bueskutter is just our basic archer unit. Again, they do come with several different presets. This is our typical Raider Viking style archer. And then our Western Shore Guard archer, the Ranger of the Battanian Woods, fighting with the Beast Clan, the Wolfmen of Beast Clan, and then the archers from the White Sun Warrior clans far to the east. Now it is only the tier 1 and tier 2 troops that have the 4 different outfit presets. After that, we do get down into the very specified roles from each and every single one of our clans. So on the ranged side of our custom unit tree, after the Boer Scooter, from the Battanian Woods of the South, we have the Jarn Varger. So this name does actually come to us from a subscriber in the comments section. I believe it was William Mulausen. Yeah, William Mulausen said a good name would be the Jarn Varger, which is a rough translation of a steel wolf. So that's exactly the kind of vibe that I try to put off with this character design. They do have a more chainmailed armored look from the typical wildling armor, and then again they have a metal helmet underneath the wolf skin. Now these troops, while being our archers, they are also going to double as our shock infantry troops. So we are going to utilize them in case the melee fight goes south. So on their backs, they are equipped with a two-handed blade, so that they can charge in there like the savage wolves that they and start to tear at the enemies. Now again, joining us from the Beast Clan of the Battanian Woods, instead of the Jarn Varger, we have the Jernbjörn, which is a rough translation of Steel Bear. So again, just massively super heavy armored troops. Again, gonna double as our shock infantry as well with their two-handed axes. But yeah, I'm in love with this design. Like these guys look genuinely so cool. And then all the way from the east, we are also joined by the Snowborn archers of the White Sun warrior clans. Now these guys are a little more heavily armored. They're going to be more of our stationary type troops. We are going to utilize them for sure as bait, for lack of a better word, because they're going to be the first kind of line of defense. And then once the enemy cavalry charges in, they're going to switch over into their polearm tactics. Now I have yet to find a way to get them to kind of do the spear brace when cavalry is charging, but hopefully they'll do it automatically. If not, you know, a lot of these Snowborn are gonna die. Like, I hate to say it. And then last but not least, the highly renowned archer warriors from the east. We have the White Sun warriors themselves. Now super padded, super heavily armored, or a little more medium armored, but heavier than the Snowborn. But essentially these guys are the leaders of their clan. These lads are the main forces of their clan, which gave rise to their reputation as the White Sun warrior clans. They are incredible archers and then incredibly deadly with the polearm as well. These tactics came about after centuries and generations of their clansmen born and dying in the cold snows off in the east. Now back to our clan warrior. If ranged combat does not quite suit your needs or your fancy, a Viking raider who has grown in a bit of experience and renown can in fact turn into a loyal Drengir of the clan. Now Drengir is actually the term that I learned from Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I'm not entirely sure on the historical accuracy of this title or of this name, but I just thought it was pretty fitting. I thought it was quite nice. I kind of enjoyed it. So here we are. We do have our Drengir. These guys are going to be kind of like our veteran Vikings in the shield wall. So if the clan warriors are the young men who are first setting off seeking adventure and glory and gold and fame, these guys are the veterans who have already more than earned their share of all. Now the Drengir also have the 4 different clan presets, so this is our typical Viking raider. We have the Drengir of the Western Shore Guard who fight against the Vlandians. The Wolf Warriors of Battania who fight against the Battanian Woodsmen in the south. And then the Eastern Snowborn Warriors from the White Sun Warrior clan. Now again, this is where we start to split off into the more specified roles of our clan. And so from the lands of the west, from the shores of northern Vlandia that kiss the lands of southern Sturgia, from Kaelis or Kaelius, whatever that castle is up there, we do have the Shore Guard. Now these guys are the base units of the Shore Guard warband, the westernmost Viking clan to have joined with the Bronzehelm Raiders. Now their look is kind of hard to look at. I'm not gonna lie. This color scheme is not doing us any favors. So maybe we will go back to the black and the red. Or maybe we'll make it red as our primary, red and then black. That would be pretty interesting. But anyway, so this is the basic unit of our Shore Guard infantrymen. They do have a unique kind of mix and match look of the two different cultures, because they do kind of live between the lands of Landia and Sturgia, so they do have a good mixture of that culture showing within their equipment and everything like that. So rather than having axes like like a majority of our infantry do, these guys do come equipped with a traditional Western style arming sword. Now, unlike our ranged side of the unit tree, our tier 4 infantry troops can turn into one of two different styles. So we do have the Shore Man, a super heavily armored, just a massive wall of a man, truly. I really just have no words. Like, I'm so in love with this design. Like, honestly, I wish the color scheme would be a bit better. But anyway, these are the Knight Viking hybrids and the leaders of their warband that lead the Shore Guard against the Vlandian Knights and the peasant armies that charge against them. Now, these guys are specialized in one-handed and shield wall tactics and combat, whereas their counterparts, the Shore Knight, is in fact well, they still kind of have a shield, but that's mostly for spear and shield combat. Otherwise, they do utilize the two-handed sword on their back, as well as the throwing axes on their hip. But again, just the absolute badassery of these Shore Knights, dude. Like, I have no words. These guys look so cool, man. Now, again, from the Drengr, at long last, we do have our Bronzehelm Raiders, beginning with our Bronze God unit. Now, these guys, this is kind of the look, I'm not gonna lie, with this kind of yellow. I like it. No wonder it doesn't look well with the Shore Guard, because these guys are more Vlandian-esque, so the red would fit a lot better for these guys. But because we are the main force of the warband, I believe that we will keep our color scheme. This is the Bronze God, basically the same level as the Shore Guard. Again, just one-handed axe and then shield wall tactics kind of infantry troop. So a majority of our combat and our tactics is going to revolve heavily around our shield wall formations and everything like that. And then from the Bronze God, we have our Bronzehelm Raider. This guy is basically all gold. That's pretty cool, actually. I do think I am going to change the color scheme. If I decide by the end of making this video that I'm gonna change the color scheme, I will go through and give you guys another look of our units with the updated color scheme. But anyway, so these are the infantrymen that have gained the renown and prowess in combat that gained our clan their name, the Bronzehelm Raiders. While we, as Bayor the Chosen, have yet to actually achieve this level of combat prowess, we still work towards that end every day, and we will see that journey unfold in the actual series itself as we continue to strive to prove ourselves a worthy leader of the four faithful clans of the gods, of Thor and Odin and Freya and Frigg. And now onward to our elite troops. Again, I did utilize our mounted cavalry troops for our elite units. We only have 2 to start off, just because I don't want to make our units entirely too OP right off the start. But we do have the Bronzehelm Riders, a little medium armored, just basic, horseman units. I did try to give them that kind of Rohan kind of look. Rohan, the Riders of Rohan, and so on and so forth. Very Rohirrim-esque, this helmet. This is actually a Battanian helmet, but I was just absolutely in love with the look. And from the Bronzehelm Rider, we have the Bronzehelm Thane. Now these guys, look at that helmet. Like, my goodness, this was the look at very first. This was the build that we had for Bayor the Chosen before we decided on a more humbled start. But anyway, this right here is the peak of military efficiency with our units. Now, if you haven't already started to pick up on some of the nuance, the Bronzehelm Raiders are very heavily inspired by the Thens from Game of Thrones. They are one of the only clans of the Wildlings to utilize bronze weapons and armor rather than iron, especially north of the wall, where metals, precious metals especially, are incredibly rare. But unlike in the TV series, but unlike in the HBO series of Game of Thrones, the Thenns were not cannibals. In fact, those were the Ice River clans in the books. In the books, it is said that the Thenns were actually the most civilized clan of the wildlings north of the Wall. I don't have any more specific details for you, but if you happen to find those in your travels among the internet, please feel free to share them below. I actually saw this information from a YouTube short from this guy who does a lot of Game of Thrones type lore, and he did one covering the Thenns. It literally just said Thenns explained. So if I find it, I'll tag it in here so you guys can watch it. But that is essentially what sparked this idea of doing a Viking Bronzehelm Raider style build in the first place. Alright lads, so I have decided to go back and change the color scheme. So we are back to the black as our primary and red as our secondary color. And here's a quick look of what each of our troops look like with the new updated color scheme. This is the Clan Warrior, our Borskuter. Yeah, I like that. I definitely like the black and red better. The Yarnvarger stays basically the same, as does the Yarnbjörn. Yeah, the Snowborn and the White Sun Warriors both kind of stay the same. Our Drengir, yeah, the black underneath looks a lot better than the yellow, if I'm being honest. Yeah, the Shore Guard, definitely a lot better in my opinion. Certainly not bad. The Shore Man, yeah, not bad. Super cool. And then of course the Shore Knight. Yeah, not bad. The Bronze God in the black and red, I love it. The Bronzehelm Raider definitely makes that bronze, that kind of gilded color pop for sure. I like that a lot better. Yeah, the Bronzehelm Rider basically stays the same, as does the Bronzehelm Thane. Not bad though. Now this part isn't specific to the actual build itself, but I did want to go ahead and share with you guys some of the early game companions that we're gonna find, or that you're gonna meet in the first couple of chapters of our Bronzehelm Raider series. To begin, we have Brunhild of the Shores. Now she is this great bulk of a woman, and she is in fact the Lord of the Shore Guard. We have her properly outfitted in the armor of her people, but she is the chosen leader, the Lord of the Shore Guard. She is Brunhild of the Shores. I did go ahead and give her this this nice blue face paint. It looks kind of wavish. I think it's pretty cool. Brunhild of the Shores actually happens to be our medic as well. I figured we could roleplay it as as she fends off the endless waves of Vlandian knights and peasant armies from the west. Many of the she's had to learn to adapt to the terrain, utilizing combat on the shores in heavy armor, to kind of dig herself in for these defensive positions, and over time she's had to learn how to keep her people alive while defending the northern shores from the Vlandians of the west. Next we have Yaroslav Frostbeard, named Frostbeard mostly because of something that happened to him, not so much because of his actual appearance. Now he is relatively small. He is actually the chieftain of the White Sun Warriors. He is a very, very small man, but he makes up for it by wearing very big clothing. He is actually our scout in our current party, and he is the chieftain of the White Sun Warriors. And he too gets really cool lore-friendly white markings to kind of signify his status among his own clansmen with the White Sun Warriors. And last but not least, we have Gregor Bloodbear. Now this man is just the ideal Viking raider, honestly. I did kind of give him that good mixture of both Battanian and Sturgeon kind of looks. So he does have the nice beard, braided beard. But he is just this hulking bear of a man. Bloodbear named both because of the the blood that is drenched upon him in combat, but also because of the blood red of his hair and the tattoo markings on his face. You can't really see it, but it is the darkest red that I can get. But yes, this is Gregor Bloodbear, chieftain of the Beast clan of Britannia. So the last thing I wanted to show you guys before we end this official Viking custom faction build video are the unique NPC characters that we've added into our build to help spice up the kind of background lore of the world, and the make the rulers seem unique and new to the specific campaign that we're running now. beginning with none other than King Canute of the Sturgeons himself. I think it looks absolutely amazing. Super not bad. I didn't want to make him like too different, so this is still like the same basic look of Grand Prince Ragnvad of the Sturgeons, but I changed his hair color, and I think I changed his height and his weight a little bit, but he's still basically the same. As well with King Canute of the Sturgeons, also I changed up his queen, or his spouse, Queen Striga, and then his son is Prince Edvard of Sturgia. I'm pretty sure I changed both of their appearances as well, but our character hasn't met either of these characters yet, so it doesn't really change anything for now. To our west, we have King Alfred of Vlandia. This guy is very heavily inspired by King Alfred from The Last Kingdom, actually. I wanted to make him a bit pale, kind of skinny, a little sickly. He is very cautious, you know, he is very calculating for sure. Kind of giving me the King Alfred vibes that you would expect, especially from, you know, from The Last Kingdom. I think he was a really good ally to have, but at the same time, he was a very devastating enemy to have, especially among the Vikings of the Danes at the time. So definitely an interesting character to add in here. Again, his basic look is about the same. I think I gave him the scar over the eyebrow, and I just changed his hair color to black. And then obviously I made him a little more pale and skinnier as well. Included with King Alfred, we actually have his queen Aelia. I just kind of named her randomly. I didn't really take inspiration from actual King Alfred's spouse. And then his son, Prince Edward. So the goal is to try and get Prince Edward into King Edward, you know, a little more towards like the late game stuff. And then King Canute's son, Edvard, is also going to be the king of the Sturgeons. We'll have the two, Edvard and Edward, kind of battle it out in late game. And then to the south, we have High King Robert of the Battanians. I absolutely love this guy. There's just something about building like these super massive, hairy ass, you know, sturgeon men or Battanian men, dude. Like, I don't know what it is. These, you know, very Scottish Highlander looking lads. And I did give him like this kind of green face tattoo thing, super tribal, super Scottish in my opinion. I really do enjoy the way that this guy looks, and just the way he looks in his armor without the helmets on is just absolutely beautiful. I absolutely love this look, and he's gonna make a very interesting, I don't know what role he's gonna play. I was gonna say bad guy, villain, you know, antagonist, but in truth, like, we have no idea what's gonna happen. I would like to try and keep this this campaign of ours relatively sandbox, and we just kind of react to it, you know. But anyway, as well as King Robert, we have his son Prince Alec de Bruce and his daughter Princess Boadicea. And here we have Emperor Magnus of the Northern Empire. He's a very short and stout man. I was very much trying to build like this Emperor Nero kind of vibe from you know, from Rise, Son of Rome. He's not much of a warrior, not much of a fighter. He's more of the politician type. But you know, when he gets put in his armor, man, like he'll do what needs to be done for sure. He's definitely going to be more of the statesman vibe, more of a senator, and more of a political leader rather than a military leader. And to the west, we have the Emperor Aureus of the Western Empire. This guy, I did take the name Aureus kind of loosely from Aurelius. I did want to make this guy more of the military leader. I got him all scarred up like right over the mouth, kind of like his main defining feature. Super angry in the eyeballs, honestly, and he's actually quite built as well. So this guy is going to be more of the military leader and more of the strategist and everything like that of the Western Empire. Yeah, and with the helmet off, he looks really badass. Aureus, ruler of the Western Empire. I love it. He's got a ton of traits too, so that's pretty interesting. And lastly, we have Empress Celestia of the Southern Empire. I really didn't change much about her. I did just kind of change her hair color, and that is it. But yeah, so this is the Empress Celestia of the Southern Empire. So while she may not be like one of the main characters of our coming campaign, this is probably my favorite build so far. This is the Sultana Afi of the Aserai of the South. I made her super tall and super skinny. I don't know why, but I imagine like this really tall, lanky, like tower of a woman. But she's always like walking around with like her hands folded behind her back. She's more of the diplomat, the trader, stuff like that. Not so much the warrioress as the rest of the Afida are in her military and everything like that. The scar was kind of just put there by default. I'm not entirely sure why, but I was like, damn, that really makes her features pop out. So she seems really like menacing as far as like her physical nature is, but her personality is much more of that of the diplomat and the trader. Would much rather go over relations of coin and trade and everything like that rather than that of the sword and so on and so forth. But once she gets put into her armor, make no mistake, she is a ruthless fighter and will certainly wield the strength of her nation and her countrymen in full force. And last but not least, we have Nugai Khan of the Khuzaits. He is a very short and very angry man, for sure. Yeah, I did try to give him like that traditional Mongolian style look. So the Mongolians typically ate a lot of rice. This is from my understanding. This may not be historically accurate, but from what I understood is that because of the constant conquests and everything, especially into China, the Mongolians did eat a lot of rice, and thus made them relatively fat, you know, pretty big guys. But I did put his build all the way up as well, so he's not just like some big chunkster. Honestly, he is actually relatively built and is still quite dangerous on the battlefield as well. And being a shorter man will definitely help him out as being a horse lord, the rider of the east, of the steppes. And there we have it, lads. That is the full official build of our clan, of our Bronzehelm Raiders here in the lands of Calradia in northern Sturgia. I am incredibly excited to be able to play this for you guys. It's been a long time coming, if I'm being honest. I have no words and no excuses as to why it's taken us this long to get a proper Viking build here in the lands of Calradia. But I am excited nonetheless. Now, I do hope you enjoyed this faction build, and I do hope you enjoy our Viking series coming up as well. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please leave it in the comment section below. And of course, if you are new to today's channel, then I, your Lord Commander, implores you to strike ye old subscribe button, and to ring the bell of notifications so that you may stay up to date on all of our newest uploads. And with that being said and done, my loyal Vikings, my loyal Dringr, always, always, always remember, honor and service, glory and sacrifice. And I, your Lord Commander, will see you in the next episode. Goodbye.